Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. We don't have a screen. Thank you, Dyson, for joining us. We are going to get started shortly. I am going to do just a really abbreviated version of our housekeeping today. We are going to be talking with the Cement Finishers Union to discuss possible paths to participation for the FNB project. As you already know, and you were alerted when you joined this meeting, that the meeting is being recorded. And so that recording will be available up and through the question and answer segment. And so I wanted to notify you of that. If for safety reasons, you don't want your picture shown in the recording, please turn off your camera. Secondarily, if you have any questions during the meeting, please use the chat feature to share those questions until we get to the dedicated question and answer segment. If you're having any technical difficulties, please take a moment to chat Chad Williams. And we actually don't have any folks on the phone, but if someone does join via the phone, there are instructions for how to mute and unmute yourself. And so with that limited introduction being said, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa with PJ Dick to continue the presentation. Teresa.
Fantastic, thank you. Mine's going to be a little unorthodox right now. So Dyson, I believe you were with us yesterday for the Laborers Union. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to skip over some stuff because you're going to hear the same spiel. We'll get down to the meat and potatoes. So Chad, I think you're running the show. Let's keep going to the PJ Dick slide. I added a couple things, Dyson, on that one. Right here. So I added there basically, what does this mean to a non-union sub? So just to reiterate, to directly subcontract with us, PJ Dick, to provide any labor on the job site, you need to either be signatory to the unions or have a project agreement, which is the purpose of this meeting, in place with the union or unions associated with your scope of work. Next, and we'll keep going through, I think, 2 more slides there, Chad. All right, so Dave with Master Builders is on the phone on the road today, Dyson, so I'm going to kind of help him a little bit. Dave, I'm not sure if you could see the slideshow, but we're on that union introduction slide with, okay, perfect. So then you can take that over, and Dyson, you're the only one, so you go one-on-one today with everybody.
Oh, well, this is gonna be good.
Dyson, it's good to be with you. Good to be with you again. So part of the takeaway from yesterday on our team side was how we might be able to better communicate and educate those of you that are currently non-signatory, and there might be some confusing language that gets used or some misunderstandings. So we thought adding this very simple, what is a union dues versus fringe benefit, might be helpful for everybody from a consistency standpoint. So as you can read on the screen there, the dues are what each union worker would pay to their union. So dues are really a membership component of being a union member, whereas fringe benefits are benefit payments that a contractor, an employer, pays on behalf of their employee, the union member, and that's part of the collectively bargained agreement and the wage package. So those are the 2 kind of separate things that sometimes get confused when speaking together and say, well, what are the dues that the contractor would be responsible for? Well, in fact, they're not responsible for dues to the union. The contractor is only responsible for the fringe benefit payments, on top of the wages that would be paid to their employees. So I hope that helps to add a little bit of clarity. And again, if you've got any questions, clearly we are all yours this afternoon. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Okay, so that being said, if I was to, place a bid on a job, for like anything for cement finishers, and so am I paying those, like, so if I do win the bid and everything goes through, am I paying those wages until I get paid? I guess this might not be the meaning for it. I'm just learning all this on my own, and I'm just trying to pick up everything that I can, so when that happens, how does that pay go? Like, am I paying that from myself, or does that, like, as far as the union pay goes?
Yeah, so I think I understand your question. Let me reframe it, and if it's accurate, we can maybe team up and answer this, because some of it, Cameron Rupert, who's the business manager for the Cement Masons, is with us today. Obviously, Teresa may have some comments on this, but from my perspective, I think you're asking what's your obligation as an employer as it relates to any payments being signatory for this job, or in a full signatory relationship. And if that's the question, the answer that I would give is, when you use the union labor from the cement masons or any of the other trades, as an employer, you're obligated to pay their wages based on the negotiated wage package during the pay period. The fringe benefits, so examples of fringe benefits would be the defined benefit retirement or pension. Another example would be health and welfare or a medical payment, right? So those are two examples of what a fringe benefit would be. That's above and beyond the wage that you pay to the employee. Those fringe benefits are due to the union or the fund office, technically, at an agreed upon date during a period. You remit your report on the hours worked for the individuals, and then you submit payment for those fringe benefits, again, based on a per hour contribution that's in the agreement. And those would get paid, depends on the time period, but let's use, for example, it might be due the 15th of the month following work. So you would be paying your employees on a weekly basis, but you wouldn't be paying those fringe benefit obligations until maybe the 15th of the month after all that work occurred. So there are weekly obligations to your employees, but there might be mid-month or every other month obligations on the fringe benefit side of things.
Dave, could I add, our fringe benefits are like, if you work in July, the month of July is due at the end of August. Any man hours worked, they're like 30 days behind. And to use that, the 30 days like that, which would put you 60 days out, we would ask for a bond depending on what type of crew size you would be looking at.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm writing all this down.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. That's a really good example. So I was using that 15th of the month. It could be the 30th of the month. I know there are some unions that operate on the quarter, so you might not be owing those fringe benefits until the beginning of the following quarter of work. And so all of that ties into cash flow and how you manage the business, and when you're getting paid and what your payment obligations might be to entities such as the union relationship.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You know what? If I could add on the union dues, that's part of like you would submit those, Dyson, with your fringe payment. But those dues come out of workers' wages.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to be clear there, that's not something that you come out of pocket for as the employer. As Cameron said, that gets deducted from the total package for the employee. It's their responsibility to pay it, but as the employer, you could do that as a wage deduction, so it gets sent in at the same time.
Hey, Chad, can you go forward 2 slides really quickly? Because there is kind of an image there that I think will make this kind of make sense. Oh, one more. We're gonna go out of order. Super unorthodox. Okay, another one. Just kidding. Here we go. So we kind of put some of those values from a current agreement on the slide so they can make sense, maybe numerically. And so the wages might be 1906, but the total package for that person per hour is 3220. And so all these additional fringes and wage costs that we're discussing would be the difference between those things. So there wouldn't be additional cost to you.
Okay.
And
so I would be basically responsible.
And said something incorrect.
And not to mislead you, but those are first year apprentice rates. So
Right. Yes.
Thank you, Cameron. I was looking at that and I thought, oh, are we sure those are correct? But yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
no,
apprenticeship
I'm
rate.
sorry,
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so let's back up because I got us derailed a little bit doing it unorthodox, and I think people's heads might be spinning. Let's back up. I failed to introduce Cameron. He's new to this versus when we talked to Dave. So Cameron, if you want to introduce yourself, give you a little bit more information about things. I apologize for, kind of jumping all over the place.
It's fine. Thank you. My name's Cameron Rupert. I'm business manager, financial secretary of Cement Masons and Plasterers Local 526. And I'm also business manager of the Tri-State District Council of the OPCMIA.
Okay, I know the next slide has a little bit more information, getting into a little bit more detail. Some, I think, Dyson, you may have seen yesterday that, contacting Tom, Dave, or Cameron when it comes to the cement bases with any kinds of questions. And then we got a little bit into those risks with that bond. I think, is it the next slide, Janae, that talks a little bit about the bond?
It's a slide.
Excuse me.
These are just your general agreement factors to consider.
One more, Chad. There we go. This, Cameron, is probably the meat of something Dyson would be interested. You talked about the surety bond. I know you shared some stuff with us earlier. You may want to talk a little bit to each of these questions would help him out.
Thank you. Yeah, the surety bond, Dyson, that you can get that from an insurance company, and it bonds the fringes and the wages. And depending on your crew size, like we asked, like the highest we've ever asked for was like a $40,000 surety bond. And that just protects the workers and the union, to get their fringe benefits if something should happen. And the fringe benefit, I explained they're due, if you work in July, they're due the end of August. You could still, on the non-union projects, we wouldn't have a problem, if you want to work on those projects. That's up to you, as long as, the one we signed a project agreement for, you use our people and your core employees, some of them. We could discuss the ratio. It differs from job to job.
Okay, where I'm looking to try to do is to get a couple different, labor agreements with a few unions, and see if I can bid on work that way and get my workers from the halls, like the different union halls that way. Starting out for now, because I just don't, like I say, I keep going back to it. I mean, I'm the only employee, and I'm trying to get into bigger work without kind of having to get all the big things that come with it, So I just feel that me learning all the aspects of the unions, I could bid on jobs, and the ones that I win, I can come to the unions for the work, the workers.
Yeah, you could call, like we have a referral system, and you could call the hall, and then we would dispatch people, according to their ability to do the type of work you're performing and their proximity to the job. And, if you did become signatory and you liked a couple people, you could keep them with you and they could move from job to job or whatever. Or if you need them for one day, then that's it. At the end of the one day, they're gone.
Thank you.
Not sure what we got going on the next slide or not, if there's any new information in there for, nope, that goes back to the resources. Jen, is there anything you'd like to add at all? Since I know we do a lot of cement finishing or some information that you missed out yesterday.
I don't necessarily have, I mean, I think this is pretty straightforward about, the steps and the things you should be asking about doing business with the local unions. I do think Juan Garrett at the RCI, the Riverside Center, has had a lot of these conversations with small businesses over the years. And I think he's a great resource for that. So definitely, he's a good person to contact just with general questions. Interestingly enough, I myself became bonded for a development I have going on in South Fayette today, as a matter of fact. And so mine is called a developer's bond, but just maybe to give you an example of what the pricing might cost to obtain a bond, mine was close to $200,000 and it cost me about $5,600 to obtain, to actually secure that bond. So obviously the whole $40,000 bond with the union isn't going to cost you that out of pocket. I mean, there's a surety cost to it, but it should be, you should be only paying a portion of that, maybe $2,000 or something like that, just to give you something in context. But
thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Now, is that, Jen, this is for my edification too, in learning about this. When you do that surety bond, I know right now Cameron sent out a document to share that right now it just says $2,500. Again, Cameron said he kind of assesses what the job is, how many workers, and so on. So pretending it's the $2,500, let's say he has to pay 200 of that, I don't know, 10%, half of that, $100. Is that a one-time fee for duration of a bond, or is it incrementally paid? How long does it last?
I don't know, Cameron, if you know that answer or if it just depends on the surety. From what I understand, they renew every year, or for as long as that as long as that relationship's going to be in effect. For me to cancel the one I got, I'd actually have to get releases from the township to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're yearly, or I would assume it's like an insurance policy. You pay a premium yearly or something, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, mine's definitely an annual renewal.
I
Seems
believe it
reasonable.
is. Yeah, I think you're both accurate. I think it's an annual obligation, so long as the need is there.
That's about as much as I know about that. So, thank you.
Thank
More
you.
than I did.
Tyson, did you have any other questions?
No, I do not. I'm kind of at a point where I'm just, whenever they come to my head, I ask them, and whatever you guys tell me, man, I just write it down and try to remember it. Just looking forward to trying to build relationships so I can get going and start building my own thing.
What other unions would you be attending? The Carpenters Union?
Yes, that would be the Carpenters would be the last one. My grandfather, he's been around forever. You might know him, Ernest Johnson, but that's what made me really start looking into getting with the unions. So I'll be attending the Carpenters one definitely for sure. The operators I'm not sure about, but I at least wanted to get in with the cement, labor, and the Carpenters unions.
Okay, great. I'll try to do my best to see if we can, smooth out some of these questions a little bit, as well as get a little more information from the Carpenters so we know, if they have bonding and upfront cost to begin with, to help frame the presentation a little bit better for everyone. And maybe instead of people concentrating on those smaller questions, maybe think of a bit larger ones that might come to mind.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's Jen. I'm going to jump in again too. I just, most recently, I actually happened to be over at the Cement Masons Union and was helping them to pick a new class of apprentices that they started recently. And I can tell you all of our unions that we work with put great attention to how they run their apprenticeship programs, what they're teaching people to make sure that they're able to go out and be productive and earn a decent living and really, build a career in the trade. I mean, they have continuing education programs. They're making sure the safety stuff is spot on. The good news about being with the union is that they're also giving people all these wonderful benefit programs so that they know they're building a career that they can have family sustaining wages from and family sustaining benefits. I mean, that's the whole, the whole package. So becoming a union contractor is a benefit to your employees in a lot of ways that if you're non-union, you have to build all that stuff yourself. You have to manage all those programs yourself. And they can do it for you. I mean, does it cost a little more sometimes? Yes, maybe sometimes no. I don't really know because we've never been non-union, but you get some wonderful things in return for becoming signatory with the unions.
Yeah, those are great points, Jen. To the non-union side of this, you're right. If you want to be a competitive employer in today's marketplace, regardless of the industry, but especially in being a contractor, you're going to have to provide those type of benefits to be an attractive employer. And in this scenario, this industry, this union construction industry, those are jointly managed benefit fund programs that are well established and are built into the bargain contract that employers can utilize. So it's a big advantage, I believe.
Cameron, is there anything you'd like to add or bring up that you think would be helpful for Dyson moving forward with, his business and future endeavors?
I would just say, to Dyson, if you're interested in sitting down and you have any other questions, feel free to call and, we could answer them for you. And it's like Jen said, we do a lot of training, the OSHA training, the safety, the CPR, and updates on all the latest that's coming out in concrete, the ACI, to be able to pour, to be certified on certain projects. And we put a lot of time into the training. But, if you have any questions, you can contact one of us and we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate all the help from everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just more, I'm just trying to get, once I get the first one going, I'm sure there'll be a lot of relief off of me, but it's just right now, the anxiety of trying to just get everything going is just, just building up. That's all.
Understood. Okay. Well, I don't want to hold anyone artificially long. Dyson, sounds like you'll be there Monday. So if there's any other questions you come up with between now and Monday, you can reach out to any of us or just bring them with you on Monday or both. I don't want to limit the ways you can kind of get what you need to be successful. And if there are no other closing remarks to Teresa or Cameron or Jen or Dave, just want to circle back.
Yeah, for me, from the association side of this, we really appreciate the ability to work with Cameron and the Smith Masons Union. Obviously, our signatory employers like PJ Dick and opportunities to work with contractors that are either just starting out or looking at taking their business to the next level. It's what we do as a member service organization and looking to help lead this industry. So appreciate your continued interest and support in attending these sessions, Dyson. And as Cameron said, if there's anything else that we can do, please feel free to reach out. Our contact information is in this deck and available at any time.
Thank you. I'll be a thorn on everyone's side. Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.